Hi, my name is Glenn Weinreb, and I am the director of the AspenCore Climate Solutions Research Center. AspenCore is the largest publishing company in the electronic industry, and I've published possibly more than anyone else on climate solutions. I'm often asked, what are the big ideas for solving the entire climate problem? This might seem like a simple question, but answering clearly in several minutes is not easy to do. Again, we're looking at how to solve the entire climate problem at the lowest cost to society. I usually focus on 4 big ideas. Idea number 1 is decarbonization will not fix this. 30 years ago, scientists stated we could solve the climate problem by replacing coal, oil, and natural gas with green energy. However, it seems like we've moved beyond the point where decarbonization alone will fix this. But where is the evidence this is the case? The best source is probably the MIT Climate Solutions Simulator. We can use this tool to see what would happen if a global tax caused the price of fossil fuel to increase 4-fold. According to the software, this would lower the projected end-of-century temperature from 3.3 degrees Celsius to 2.5. And we would still get runaway climate change. These temperature values are relative to where we were 150 years ago. Okay, so what does this tell us? In a nutshell, it means Mother Nature is larger than typical government policy. For details on what to do about this, see climate videos 1 and 2. Idea number 2 is to emit air pollution higher. In theory, airplanes could spray sulfur-based gases into the upper atmosphere to reflect about 1% of sunlight back into outer space to prevent runaway climate change. Sulfur is already present in coal and oil and is therefore released upon combustion. And sunlight reflects off atmosphere laden with sulfur. In theory, we could harvest sulfur from fuel before combustion, transfer it to an airplane, and emit it at a high altitude instead of at ground level. High altitude sulfur stays aloft for 1 to 2 years, while ground level sulfur typically stays aloft for hours to days. Therefore, changing the emission site reduces the planet's temperature without increasing total sulfur emissions. This is important since sulfur is harmful to people, plants, and oceans. In other words, we don't want to increase total sulfur emissions. However, moving it higher should be okay. According to one study, this would cost about $18 billion per year. For details, see Climate Lab videos 7 through 10. Idea number 3 is to observe basic principles of economics. Let's begin by looking at decarbonization incentive or lack thereof. No one benefits from reducing their own carbon dioxide emissions. They are too small to matter. Instead, harm comes from the collective emissions of our planet's 8 billion people. For this reason, each person wants everyone else to reduce. Put differently, it is in everyone's best financial interest to minimize their own expenses while putting on a show of concern and encouraging others to act. This may sound negative, but it's just basic economics. It follows that if you accept these economic realities, there's only one solution, and that is to do R&D to the extent required to drive down the cost of 24/7 green energy to below that of fossil fuel and to determine how to reflect sunlight at reasonable cost and without harm. In short, we need a surge of R&D in key areas with known technologies and favorable cost models. But what can we develop that is not already being worked on? We examine this in climate videos 11 through 16. And lastly, idea number 4 is to consider an engineered approach to climate. Our society's current approach is not working. Therefore, an alternate approach should be considered. For example, one that calculates the lowest cost way to solve the entire problem and creates an implementation plan. One might refer to this as an engineered approach to climate. In theory, a website could create climate plans based on website user requirements. For example, someone might want to prevent the first climate tipping point from activating and also decarbonize a specific nation over a set number of years, all at the lowest possible cost. A website that creates climate plans does not exist. However, it could be developed. For details, see climate videos 4 and 5. Okay, that's it. That's the several-minute summary of how to save the planet from climate change. For a complete list of climate solution videos, visit aplantosavetheplanet.org. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all real soon.